an absolutely gorgeous Sunday afternoon here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Winds are calm, the skies are sunny, and the temperatures in the mid-70s. It is the renewal of a long-time rivalry in the National Football League. The head coach of the Tennessee Titans, Mike Munchak, hey, welcome home. 9-time Pro Bowler and a fellow Hall of Famer, Dan, and he told us yesterday he's got 150 friends and relatives coming from Scranton, Pennsylvania, his nearby hometown.
Yeah, even though Scranton's on the other side of the state, Mike Munchak, a living legend here. And not only we got a little high school footage of him, he's playing fullback. As Mike said, I was really just a guard in the backfield. Joe Paterno didn't think he was going to be a running back, but he knew he'd be an All-American guard, and that's exactly what he was. And that's when your high school loves you, when the address of your high school is 63 Mike Munchak Way, which, of course, his retired number with this franchise. And Mike Munchak, 30 years a member of this organization.
Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, Mike Tomlin, the head man of the Pittsburgh Steelers, trying to find a way to get through with an injury-riddled team. The Pittsburgh Steelers have won the toss. They will defer, and they will kick it away to the Tennessee Titans, and we are all waiting to see just how well Ben Roethlisberger will be able to deal with that injured left foot. That's Mark Mariani deep to receive for the Tennessee Titans. They fooled a lot of experts, Dan. Nobody really had the Tennessee Titans near or at the top of the charts at 3-1 at this stage of the season.
No, because I don't think people realize the effect that Matt Hasselbeck would have and the stability that he'd bring to the quarterback position.
Sean Sweezum to kick it away. Mariani back to the end zone and out, and he will not return it from there. So Tennessee will start from their own 20-yard line after an opening day loss at Jacksonville. Matt Hasselbeck and the Titans have rolled 3 straight wins. This is the veteran quarterback's first season in Tennessee. He has 8 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions and has had an immediate impact on this team, Dan.
Well, you're looking back at the 3-1 start, you're going, how on earth did they lose to Jacksonville in that opener and then come right back and soundly beat Baltimore?
The first carry of the day goes to Chris Johnson, and Chris Johnson dodging his way, and look out to the outside. First down yardage and a lot more across the 40. Up front, expect the big pass rush from the Steelers to be in the person of Lamar Woodley. And that puts the pressure on the big and talented right tackle David Stewart. After missing training camp and a slow start to the season, Chris Johnson rang up a 100-yard rushing game last week, looking to make it 2 in a row today. He's off to a good start with a 21-yard gain on the first play from scrimmage.
After all anybody talked about all week long was the Steelers' rush defense.
Chris Johnson again to about the 44. Pittsburgh's defensive line hit hard by injuries. Brett Kiesel, the only regular starter in the lineup up front today. With James Harrison out today, Lawrence Timmons replaces him outside. Veteran Larry Foote takes Timmons' spot inside, and the ever-present Troy Polamalu at safety. The Steelers still looking for their first interception of this season. Number 43 is as good a bet as any to get it.
And you talked about Kiesel being the only starter up front. Keep in mind, he's missed the last 2 games with a bad knee.
Hasselbeck under pressure, crossing pattern, incomplete. Pass intended for the tight end, Jared Cook.
Boy, and Lawrence Timmons was right there with him. And there was a little duress right in the face of Matt Hasselbeck. You can see right there, he had to throw that ball before Cook was even looking for it. And you can see Lamar Woodley got around Dave Stewart and got in there. Chris Hoke came in and applied the finishing touches. But that forced Hasselbeck to throw that ball before his receiver was ready for it.
Javon Ringer is into the Tennessee backfield now on 3rd and 7. Penalty marker flies. Out of the backfield is Ringer. Ringer has first down yardage, but let's check the flag.
Well, I think they might have blown the whistle before this play happened.
Mike Tomlin way out
before
of the field.
snap. False start, number 86, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Walt Anderson, our referee today.
And a 3rd and long gets longer now. And that is an invitation to this crowd here at Heinz to get in on the action, and that's exactly what they're going to do.
Dan, when's the last time you heard the Pittsburgh rush defense being so under pressure and under the gun as they have been this week?
Well, it just doesn't happen. This is traditionally, if not the hardest, one of the 2 or 3 toughest teams annually to run against.
I'll start number 86 of the offense. Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 25 of the defense. By rule, the false start is declined. We'll enforce the personal foul. First down.
Well, when he initially made the judgment, Walt Anderson wasn't aware that Ryan Clark was flagged for a personal foul. And he's right when it's a 5-yard penalty up against a personal foul. And there's the hit right there against Ringer. Whenever a personal foul is up against a 5-yard penalty, the 5-yard penalty on the other team is like it never happened. They always enforce the bigger penalty.
You know, we asked Mike Tomlin about dumb penalties on his players last week, and I'm sure that one isn't sitting well with him right now. First down, Tennessee at the Pittsburgh 41. Hasselbeck. Complete inside the 35 to Damian Williams, a second-year wide receiver out of USC.
Well, if you're going to give Matt Hasselbeck anything underneath, the patience that he has learned playing for Mike Holmgren in that West Coast offense will show up. He is more than happy to just dink and dunk and work underneath and put together a long drive. That's his nature. That's what he's used to doing.
On 2nd and 2, this is Chris Johnson, right side. Has a first down inside the 30 to the Pittsburgh 27.
Well, nice patience there by Chris Johnson, waiting for his blocks to develop out in front of him because he got some good blocks. Here's a nice pull coming around the corner. There's Leroy Harris. Ahmad Hall is fullback, who's back from a 4-game suspension. Gets a good lead block. And right now, Tennessee is getting some pretty good wood laid on the guys up front and making some creases.
This drive with a big help from the personal foul against the defense. Here's Johnson. Still on his feet inside the 25 to about the 22-yard line.
And so much has been talked about this rush defense of the Steelers. And, you know, part of it is that they're being held to last year's standard, which was so good, less than 63 yards a game. But again, take a look at the offensive line. They get on their guys, they stay on them, they run them. And then Johnson tries to look for a cutback. When he doesn't see it, he chose to go to the outside. And you can see he ran right through the tackle of Chris Hope, the nose tackle.
2nd and 5, Hasselbeck to throw. Inside the 10-yard line, complete inside the 5 is Jared Cook. And he is marked down at about the 4. And that'll be a 1st and goal.
Well, Jared Cook, as a tight end, is becoming a real downfield threat. Remember, he had an 80-yard touchdown last week. And here he is now working against the zone. And Troy Polamalu, by the time he can get over there, Matt Hasselbeck delivers the ball as he's in that vacuum between the 2nd and 3rd level of the defense. But Jared Cook has become a guy downfield very comfortable.
Chris Johnson, the deep man in the backfield. Play fake to him. Hasselbeck throwing incomplete off the fingertips of the tackle-eligible Mike Otto.
Well, if he'd have had just a little bit longer to let this thing develop, Otto got lost. But Matt, because of the rush of LaMarr Woodley, had to release the football. I think if he could have waited another second, you could see, I think, how open Otto was going to be. It's easy to lose track of that extra lineman who comes in as a blocker. You don't expect him to be a receiver.
9th play of this drive. Chris Johnson, left side, looking for running room. And doesn't find it. The penalty marker flies.
Oh yeah, there's a back a block in the back. Pretty apparent.
Illegal block in the back, number 86, offense. 10-yard penalty. It's still 2nd down.
That call goes against Daniel Graham.
And I think that Chris Johnson right here has a choice to either turn it up or bounce it out. And bouncing it out just was the wrong decision. The Steelers have way too much speed. And you can see Graham's block from the, that's not it there. Here it's coming up right here. He's going to hit Lawrence Timmons right from behind.
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, that is most definitely it.
So that backs the Titans up all the way to the 14-yard line, where it's 2nd and goal. Pittsburgh's been vulnerable to opening drive. The Steelers allowed a 19-play, 95-yard touchdown drive opening the game in Houston last week. Little flare out to the side.
Oh, this
and we get a whistle.
Yeah, this was a pre-snap penalty as well. Another false start on Tennessee.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 76, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 2nd down.
That's David Stewart, the right tackle. Dan, I was just about to say, there may not be a better set of tackles in the National Football League than David Stewart and Michael Roos of the Titans.
No, they're awfully good. And this is a solid veteran offensive line that's been together for a while, and it is one of the real assets, one of the real strengths of this franchise.
Hasselbeck, near sideline. That's complete. And out of bounds at the 12-yard line, Nate Washington.
And again, there's that patience of Hasselbeck, just taking a little of the yardage at a time. He's not greedy by nature, and he has a tremendous respect for the red zone. And turning it over down here is not an option. And when you played for Mike Holmgren for all those years, that was a long walk back to the sidelines, facing the red face of Mike Holmgren.
3rd and goal from the 12. Hasselbeck.
There's
Penalty marker flies as his receiver went down in the end zone. Lavelle Hawkins, number 87, was the receiver who hit the deck.
Well, he was
Prior to the pass, illegal contact, number 51, defense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
That penalty is on linebacker James Ferrier.
and on 3rd down to bring up an automatic 1st down. What a crushing penalty. All right, here comes Hawkins, number 87, coming right into the middle of the field. And there is the contact, and you can see it. James Ferrier, he's on him not once but twice, and the second one actually knocks him down. And as you could see right there, the official who makes the call is all of about 8 feet away. It happened right on his front porch.
So again, a penalty on the Steelers keeps the Tennessee drive alive. Ringer and Hall in the backfield, 1st and goal. Hasselbeck with time. Throwing, end zone. Oh, what a catch, and then it comes out.
Oh, you got to hold on to it when you hit the ground. You've got to hold on to it when you hit the ground, and Nate Washington, when he makes contact in the end zone, the ball comes flying out. Boy, look at this pass protection. Look at all the time that Hasselbeck has. Great job of elevating, and Troy Polamalu, I think right here, gets enough of a shove, and Ike Taylor, both of them, they get enough of a shove on Washington that he loses his balance and loses the football.
Nate Washington spent his first 4 years with the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2nd and goal. Hasselbeck under pressure, goes down.
Oh, Woodley, did he get a face mask? There's no flag. What a job by Lamar Woodley. And that's picking up the slack with no James Harrison. Coming from the right side of your screen, here comes Woodley, and he's going to be blocked. And as you can see, Ahmad Hall tries to get in the way, but Woodley just discards him, throws him out of the way, and wraps up Hall and Hasselbeck.
I'm not sure you can call that a block. 3rd and goal. Screen. Chris Johnson. Johnson can't get to the 10.
Tremendous play by Polamalu. Tremendous play by Troy Polamalu, fighting through a block and making a tackle. Well, after giving a 1st down by penalty, what a series by the Pittsburgh defense. Look at Troy Polamalu. He gets around 1, gets around 2 as he comes in and gets around Jake Scott. And Chris Johnson doesn't have a chance. That's extraordinary work by the safety.
Rob Baronis from 29 yards out. And the kick is good. Tennessee gets 3. Matt Hasselbeck a little upset that he didn't get a touchdown on the board. The Titans with the early lead. Defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau has to be a bit proud of his Chargers. A week ago, as I mentioned, at Houston, the Texans reeled off a 19-play, 95-yard drive to open the game. Today, at least the Steeler defense kept the Titans out of the end zone and made them settle for a field goal.
But still, he can't be happy with the fact that they drove the ball the length of the field the way they did. A lot of credit, though, to Lamar Woodley. That sack of Hasselbeck, that set the tone for that final series.
Antonio Brown is deep for the Steelers. And he'll get a chance to run this one out on the run from a yard deep in the end zone. 15, 20. Look at the speed. 40, outside and out of bounds. Ben Roethlisberger is going to get some prime field position to get started when we come back. Welcome back to Pittsburgh. 8:09 to play in the first quarter, and Ben Roethlisberger to take his first snap of the day. Roethlisberger, the owner of the most talked about left foot in the state of Pennsylvania this week.
Black five! Black five!
And Isaac Redmond to the 48-yard line of the Tennessee Titans. And Roethlisberger, the Steeler quarterback, sacked 5 times and picked off once at Houston last week. Came away with that bruised and sprained left foot, and he will give it the old college try today, Dan. But there is no question it's bothering him. There's no question that he's walking and running with a limp.
Oh, when he walks with a very noticeable limp, he was going to try to do this without taking a pain-killing injection into the foot. He's concerned about it numbing his toes. It's really such a big part of Ben's game is his mobility.
On 2nd and 9, Roethlisberger throws for the first time today over the middle and complete. Pass intended for tight end Wesley Saunders. The Steelers with an offensive line so riddled by injury. Max Starks comes out of retirement off a neck injury last season to start at left tackle today. And at running back, Rashard Mendenhall dressed today with a sore hamstring, but second-year back Isaac Redmond gets the start.
Greg, we're going to have to really look at Ben's accuracy early in this game because of that left foot. He throws it there, plants on it. That first throw there was higher than he wanted it to be. It got away from him a little bit.
3rd and 9. Roethlisberger, little behind his receiver, and it's incomplete. Mike Wallace trying to make the catch down close to the ground, couldn't do it.
Well, that's the second pass from Ben that didn't go exactly where he wanted. You see Mike Wallace, he's open, but he comes back for it, and boy, from that angle, that looked like a catch.
And Mike Tomlin has just tossed the challenge flag.
Oh yeah, he's got that football under control. What a job by Mike Wallace of coming back and digging that ball out of the air.
Pittsburgh is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
You know, we're only halfway through the first quarter, but I think Mike Tomlin is very smart to challenge that.
Well, number one, he'd sure like to give his defense a little bit more of a breather. 7:14 to play in the first quarter. We will get Walt Anderson's decision right after this. Thursday on CBS, could a doctor by day be a killer by night? Michael Emerson and Jim Caviezel star in the new drama Person of Interest, Thursday, only CBS. Pretty good indicator of how this play went was how Mike Wallace reacted when he got off the turf.
Walt Anderson has to see something definitive. I think we showed
After
it to him.
reviewing the play, it is a catch. The receiver has control of the ball to his body as he goes to the ground and does not lose control. It'll be first down at the 38-yard line. Pittsburgh will not be charged with a timeout.
That's an 11-yard pickup and a first down for the Steelers.
And you heard Walt Anderson use the word control twice, and that's exactly what it was. You didn't see the jaw, you didn't see any jiggle, wiggle, or anything in that ball as he clutched it to his body. But again, that was Ben's second throw, and it was not where he wanted it to be. That was just a superlative effort.
We have time
by
later
Mike
on.
Wallace.
Later on, I'll have to ask you the difference between a jiggle and a wiggle.
Just watch me walk.
First down. Roethlisberger to throw. Out of the backfield, Redmond. And Redmond bumped out of bounds short of the 30-yard line.
Well, we talked about Ben having a sprained foot, and we asked him exactly where is it, and he told us it's right in this area right here. It's right behind his toes. He's got a bone bruise and a sprain, and he was concerned about taking a pain-killing shot for fear that it would actually numb his toes, which of course would affect his balance and his ability to run. So whether he took one or not when he went in for warm-ups, I'm not sure.
Now the shoe on that foot is a size larger to accommodate the protection that he's wearing.
He's wearing a carbon fiber insole in the shoe.
Short drop, pulls it down, quick pop over the middle. He's complete just inside the 30 to David Johnson, the tight end. That'll be about a yard short of a first down. It'll be a pickup of 4, and it's 3rd and 1.
You know, at the top of the show, we told you, and we showed you some footage of Ben and what this season has been like for him. Behind this line, he has been pummeled.
3rd and 1. Redmond looks to have the first down.
Yeah, it looks like he got it. I think he got it by a couple feet. And he did.
And yes, that is a first down. And let's take you to the first NFL Today update of the day. JB in New York.
Boomer. Buffalo looking for its 3rd straight home win. Well, off of a Michael Vick interception, back come the Buffalo Bills. Freddie Jackson 5-yard TD run. What has plagued the Eagles this season thus far is plaguing them today. Interceptions and poor run defense. Bills capping a 7-play, 54-yard drive. Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf.
I bet Eagles coach Andy Reid would love to get a hold of whoever dubbed them the Dream Team. Here's Redmond. Redmond to the 25-yard line. Let's check the Tennessee defense. 4-3 defense includes rookie Jarrell Casey at defensive tackle. He is the Titans' 3rd-round draft pick out of USC. The steadying influence in the middle of the D is linebacker Barrett Ruud, the free agent signee who led Tampa Bay in tackles each of the last 4 years. And with safety Chris Hope out, Jordan Babineau starts. He already has a 97-yard interception return for a touchdown this season.
That Dream Team, by the way, came from inside his own locker room.
Hey, 92.
2nd and 8. Roethlisberger over the middle, complete inside the 10-yard line. Antonio Brown. 17 yards and a 1st and goal.
This is Antonio Brown's 2nd year in the National Football League, and you're starting to get a glimpse of the football player that he is becoming. Because this is a catch that not a track guy makes. This is the kind of a catch that a receiver makes, that a complete football player makes. On a slant route to the inside, he knows he's in traffic, and he makes a hands catch knowing he's going to take a hit. That was well done.
Redmond the deep back, 1st and goal. Redmond. Nothing there.
You can see right there at the end of that Ramon Foster putting his hands up going, hey. Oh, now there's a shot where Jason Jones hits him right in the face mask. And you're right, normally Ramon Foster did the right thing. A lot of times if the official would have seen that, that would have drawn a flag. That was smart of Foster, though, not to engage.
On 2nd and goal, Roethlisberger, goal line, touchdown. Heath Miller, his first TD catch of the season.
Well, a lot of people involved on that drive. Heath Miller gets the touchdown, but remember Antonio Brown sets it all up with the big kickoff return. And again, into that Tennessee zone, Heath Miller, as he is so good at doing, sits right down, finds a soft spot, and like an old comfortable pair of shoes, Ben Roethlisberger finds his big tight end sitting right on the goal line. And right about now, Roethlisberger could probably use a comfortable pair of shoes.
The requisite pause while the score is checked upstairs. It is deemed good. Let's use him at the extra point. And the Steelers come right back after the long drive and field goal by Tennessee. Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown lead the way. 7-3 Steelers. It is that beautiful a day here in Pittsburgh, and at least the early questions have been answered about Ben Roethlisberger, although it's a long day.
Well, and he hasn't been flushed from the pocket. He hasn't had to run and reset, and that'll be interesting because there's no way Ben's going to sit in the pocket for the entire game.
Mark Mariani deep. And we'll run this one out of the end zone about 7 yards deep. Out to the 15 and out of bounds at about the 17 or 18-yard line. We have 2:54 to play in the first quarter, and Tennessee back on offense after this. Aerial coverage today, a spectacular view provided by MetLife. Tennessee from the 18-yard line, first down. Hasselbeck back at work. Going to give it to Chris Johnson. No go on the far side. Let's go back to the touchdown pass.
Yeah, let's look at it from a couple different angles. Heath Miller's going to start over here on the right side, just come down and do a little curl and sit down right there at the goal line. And again, look how he finds the opening and sits down. But you know, they say a young quarterback, the eyes will take you to the ball. Watch Ben, fake to the right. Now he's going to come all the way back and look to the left until he comes back into the middle to find Heath Miller. Now, if you're one of the Tennessee safeties, he looks right, he looks left, and finally settles in the middle. Tough to diagnose.
Hasselbeck complete across the 20 and across the 30 to Damian Williams, and that'll be enough for a first down.
Boy, that first down pickup negated a tremendous first down play by Chris Hoke, the nose tackle, that just blew that thing up completely. But boy, just like that, Matt Hasselbeck just comes back and converts and moves the chains.
This is Chris Johnson again. And again, he is stacked up for a loss of about 2 or 3 yards. We'll call it 2 in 2nd and 12.
And again, when you look at Chris Johnson, that's not exactly slamming the ball in there. I mean, take a look at this. He's looking, he's trying to find a hole, but there's the indecision, and basically, he just comes to a complete stop. Now there's Chris Hoke, and hard to have a much better start to this game than Chris Hoke is having at nose tackle, filling in for Casey Hampton.
Speaking of starts, Johnson reeled off a 21-yarder, but has had just 8 total yards since then in 5 carries. And running out of time on the play clock, Hasselbeck has to call timeout. Tennessee uses a timeout. 1:03 to play in the first quarter. Steelers 7-3. Hey, watch Fantasy Football today for Game Time player news, inactive updates to help set your lineup, and chat with our experts every Sunday, 11 a.m. Eastern at CBSSports.com/live. Welcome back to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh.
And the weather for this game today is nothing short of perfect. It's October in Pittsburgh. It's going to be close to 80 by the time this game is over, in mid-70s right now. Just fabulous.
2nd and 12. Hasselbeck throws far side. New miscommunication over there with Jared Cook.
Well, that's a blitz adjustment because Dick LeBeau dialed one up. He threw everything here at Matt Hasselbeck. Watch off the right-hand side, and Matt makes his adjustment, and Cook did not make his. He's supposed to break that pattern off to the outside. And again, you know, it's frustrating for a veteran quarterback. But you haven't been here a long time, Matt. Everybody's still feeling their way a little bit offensively.
3rd and 12. Hasselbeck over the middle, and it's incomplete. Polamalu was there. Intended for Lavelle Hawkins.
Well, the reality is that everybody's going to defend the Titans differently now that Kenny Britt, their home run hitter, is out of the lineup, and you cannot have bracket coverage better than that. Clark deep, Polamalu in the front. and Polamalu almost makes that interception.
Matt Hasselbeck told us one of the things that his team has to do, a couple of guys on his team, Lavelle Hawkins has to start stepping up on third down.
They're all trying to replace Britt, or at least fill in.
Antonio Brown with the fair catch made at his own 30-yard line. 42-yard punt, no return, and 44 seconds on the clock for the first quarter.
Again, just a big question mark coming in here. How is Ben going to be able to move? Let's take a close look. It's that left foot. That's where the sprain is. And you know, if you just could see him walking around here earlier, every time he plants that left foot, that has got to hurt. And he told us when we met with him, he's going, it's just going to be a question of how much can I deal with the pain, because it hurts all the time. There's no getting around it. Imagine that, Big Ben with a good pain tolerance.
Isaac Redmond squeezes through for about 5 yards to the 35. Sean Smith makes the stop.
You know, that old watch commercial, takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Well, there are few quarterbacks. You know, Michael Vick has had a tough year, but few quarterbacks year in and year out take the physical pounding that Ben Roethlisberger takes. And he's had some injuries over the years, but by and large, he just keeps picking himself up and dusting himself off.
They are going to let the clock expire here in the first quarter, change ends of the field, and we'll go at it with the second quarter after a timeout. We come to the end of the first with the score. The Pittsburgh Steelers 7 and Tennessee 3. We're coming back to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh right after this. You are watching the NFL on CBS. As you look at some of the numbers here so far today, Dan, I think it's gone as we thought it would. The yardage has been given up grudgingly.
And it's been hard hitting, and these are two very physical football teams. You're right, Greg.
Ben Roethlisberger has completed 5 straight as he goes to work now at the 35-yard line on 2nd and 5. Isaac Redmond breaking free for a first down. Just across the 45-yard line. Let's check back in once again with JB and Boomer.
Greg and Dan, it is Cam Boom. I can't believe this. How about this? 54 yards down the right sideline to Steve Smith. He fights for the ball, gets it, and then Roman Harper's going to come in and hit him as he crosses the goal line. That's his 3rd touchdown of the season by Steve Smith. And then JB, you say fracas, I say fracas. There's a fracas, and look who's right in the middle of it. It's Cam Newton.
I think Dan Dierdorf would say just a little skirmish. Back to Greg and Dan.
I think Dan says that's football.
Well, not when you hit a guy 3 yards into the end zone. That's worth fighting over.
Roethlisberger pulls it down under pressure, pushes it forward to Redmond, and Redmond is buried back at about the 42, but his forward progress will be marked at the 44.
Well, great job by Ben of improvising and getting rid of the football, but Will Witherspoon was just right there with Redmond. He's got the coverage on him. He wasn't going anywhere. And Ben almost had that ball knocked away. Let's visit Max Starks over there at left tackle, see how he's holding up. You can see right there he's getting a little help from Doug Legursky at left guard.
Hold on, 55.
And there's Chris Kemoeatu, the normal starter at left guard, a great pulling guard, but he's got a bum knee. He's having to sit this one out.
2nd and 11. Roethlisberger, this side, complete to Wallace. And Wallace out of bounds right at about the midfield marker. We were talking with Ben about Max Starks, and he kept in touch with him constantly, and in fact moved right back into his locker right next to Ben Roethlisberger's in the locker room.
Well, Max Starks is a giant man. He is 6'8", listed at 345. He got close to 400 pounds, and it's one of the reasons the Steelers decided to not bring him back. Mike Tomlin says he's lost about 50. Max told Ben, I didn't lose 50, I just rearranged it. And Ben goes, yeah, right.
3rd and 5. Down the middle, what a defensive play made by Jason McCourty. The 3rd-year cornerback out of Rutgers. Pass intended for Hines Ward.
And this is a good pair of corners on Tennessee with Finnegan on the one side. And again, look at the acceleration, the break on the ball as he's able to extend and get a hand on it. You know, that's one of those, if you don't get the football, Hines Ward is off and gone. But that was McCourty. Nicely done.
Daniel Sepulveda averaging 50 yards a punt this season, kicking to Mark Mariani. No, he's going to fake it. Throws over the middle. It's wide open. Inside the 30 to the 25. Still on the move is Ryan Mundy. It'll be a first down inside the 20-yard line.
Sepulveda's pass is complete to Ryan Mundy.
Well, a little trickeration here by the Steelers. Al Everest, the special teams coach, dials this up, and you can see that in the middle of the defense, the Titans just turned and hauled, trying to get back and make a block. Cortland Finnegan had his back and didn't even see what was going on by the time he's able to react. It is way too late. That was a beautifully designed fake punt.
Nice little pass by Sepulveda over the middle.
A lot of film study went into that.
Pittsburgh calls timeout here with 11:51 to play. When we come back, it'll be Steelers ball at the Tennessee 17. Daniel Sepulveda saying, no, if Ben can't go today, I'm ready.
Yeah, with that kind of a completion percentage.
First down at the 17. Handoff to Antonio Brown to the 10. Out of bounds at about the 7. Let's go back to that fake punt. So well executed.
Well, here's the key. Mundy's right back here. But watch Cortland Finnegan right here. He turns and bails. He's going to fake coming, but then he's got his back to it. He doesn't even know that Mundy has caught the ball. By the time he realizes he's so far downfield, the entire middle of the field has been vacated by the Titans. That is just good film study, realizing a tendency. And Sepulveda, it wasn't the most beautiful pass in the world, but Mundy was so wide open, it didn't matter.
First and goal for the Steelers at the Tennessee 7. Play fake, over the middle, touchdown, Hines Ward.
Beautiful play action. Great job of selling it by the offensive line and by Big Ben. You know, a lot of times you'll have a play action fake, but your line doesn't carry it out. This was just so well done. And again, it totally surprised the Titans. That wasn't even close to decent coverage on Hines Ward.
Ward with his first touchdown catch of this season. And number 84 of his great career.
And the smile is back.
Cleveland's extra point is good. 11:14 to play in the first half. Pittsburgh stretches its lead to 14-3. Welcome back to Pittsburgh, everyone. Head coach Mike Tomlin, whose Steelers have hit the red zone twice, both times have scored touchdowns. And you know that there were lots of questions about this Steeler team coming in, but you get the feeling Mike Tomlin had faith in his guys that they would pull together and do what was necessary. They have so far.
We got a ways to go, but a wounded football team is a focus team.
Mariani will get a chance to run this one from the 2. Big hole, 30 to the outside, cuts it back and out to about the 42 or 43-yard line. While we have the opportunity, keep up with the NFL when you're on the go. The NFL's mobile apps are all new for the 2011 season. Go to NFL.com/mobile to learn more.
Well, Antonio Brown went up the same sideline and gave the Steelers great field position, and now Mark Mariani does the same thing for the Titans. He doesn't get across midfield, but that is a real luxury to get to start up there at your own 43-yard line.
Now Hasselbeck from his own 43. Over the middle, incomplete. Let's get another update from JB and Boomer at the NFL Today studio in New York, guys.
Houston capitalizes on a Jason Campbell pick.
That's right, JB. Matt Schaub's going to throw his 9th touchdown pass of the season, his 2nd today. The tight end Joel Dreesen back to the outside the numbers. Nobody's there for the Oakland Raiders. He goes 56 yards. Houston goes on top 14-6.
Back to Tennessee at Pittsburgh, Greg Gumbel, Dan Dierdorf.
Thanks, guys. Dan, it's not because we've seen the Houston Texans a lot that we say this, but there's an awful lot to like about Gary Kubiak's team this year.
Even without Andre Johnson for a while, they're good.
This is Chris Johnson, and Chris Johnson is stacked up, and we get a little additional pushing and shoving.
And again, I'm just telling you, you can just see the attitude of this Pittsburgh team. So many starters missing this game. Questions about Dick LeBeau's defense. And the way they're playing right now, they've got an attitude. They're playing with a little bit of a sharp edge right now. There's Aaron Smith, starting defensive end, sitting this one out. He's got a sprained foot. Ziggy Hood is filling his shoes.
3 straight incompletions thrown by Hasselbeck. On the blitz, the pass is complete out to midfield. That'll be still about 3 yards short of a first down. Lavelle Hawkins making the catch.
How close does Troy Polamalu come to getting a hand on this football? Again, he's got underneath coverage. Look, oh wow. I mean, that you could slide a piece of paper between his fingertips and that football. It just went, actually, he was far enough, it just seemed to go right over his hand. Polamalu is all over these routes being run by the Tennessee receivers.
Brett Kern, the Tennessee punter, will kick it away, and that's Antonio Brown at his own 10.
That's really discouraging for Tennessee to have that kind of field position and not even get a first down.
Fair catch called for and made at the 9-yard line. 41-yard punt for Kern. 9:21 to play. First half. Steelers with the ball out and the lead. And we'll be back right after this. Hey, Super Agent Drew Rosenhaus, cocky, respected, reviled, and represents the NFL's biggest stars. You won't want to miss what he has to say to Scott Pelley on 60 Minutes tonight, only CBS. Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf back in Pittsburgh. Jonathan Dwyer is into the backfield as Roethlisberger goes to work from his own 10-yard line. And this is Dwyer with a big hole up the middle. And Dwyer is off to the races. Can they catch him? 30. Dragged down at about the 15-yard line, and the penalty marker is down.
But it's down at the spot of the tackle. It is certainly not back where this play originated. I don't know if they're going to get Finnegan for a horse collar or what. They're talking about it on the sidelines. But Jonathan Dwyer, for his first carry, I don't think he ever envisioned a hole like that.
That's his first carry of the season.
That's the kind of thing that you do in practice with shorts.
There is no foul for a horse collar tackle. The hand was outside the collar. First down.
Well, you saw Finnegan. Watch this hole off the right side. What a great seal block to the inside by David Johnson. The kick out. And Cortland Finnegan, even with a bad angle, shows awesome speed in catching Jonathan Dwyer. And he did have his hand outside. That was not a horse tackle. Good job by Walt Anderson overruling that.
Jonathan Dwyer's longest run last season was 7 yards. That one was 76. And this is Redmond.
And here, watch the right hand. That's the one that's going to be in question. It hits the helmet, but you can see it's up there, but he does not have his fingers down inside and underneath. And that was a good job by the officials of getting together. And you know, that horse collar, that's where you pull the guy backwards, and, you know, that can really cause some lower leg injuries. But what a job of blocking by the Steeler front.
Penalty against Tennessee moves the ball inside the 10. It's 1st and 5. This is Redmond. Still on his feet. And fights his way to the 5-yard line.
Well, Isaac Redmond is getting his turn in the sun because Rashard Mendenhall has got the bad hamstring. And this is the kind of effort that the Steelers have been looking for. Yep, there's contact. But look where he ends up. Look at him fight and continue. A good solid 3.5 yards after contact. And there's Mendenhall with the bad hamstring. But this Steeler running game hasn't gotten on track yet until now. And it's Dwyer and Redmond getting it done.
And now Marcus Gilbert being helped off the field.
Well, this is an offensive line that is just already just in bad shape. Marcus Gilbert has got a bad shoulder, and it looks like he's reluctant to move that left arm when a guy's walking with it in that position.
Jonathan Scott has come onto the field. He is already bothered by an ankle and the knee and was replaced in the starting lineup today by Max Stark. He is now going to switch over to right tackle.
It is a revolving door on the offensive line for the guys in black and gold.
Redmond and Dwyer in the backfield. This is Redmond.
Look at that surge.
Moves the pile to the 1.
Well, that is old-fashioned football. Somewhere Woody Hayes and Bo Schembechler are smiling when you see a pile getting moved like that. That is leg drive, not just by the running back, but that is the guys up front. Down on a knee, get up off of the knee, drive, push. That's old-fashioned football right there.
And that's a first and goal for Pittsburgh at the 1.
Already 2 visits into the red zone and a pair of touchdowns to show for it. They're on their way to 3 for 3.
Redmond came up short.
Yeah, good effort that time by Tennessee of wrapping up. Isaac Redmond from Bowie State University. He's the first NFL player ever to make it to the NFL from Bowie State. Here's what I talked about, the good tackles. You can see right underneath, McCourty comes in, takes his legs out, and then Jones gets in there with a good wrap up, and they drive him back.
Second and goal. Roethlisberger rolling, throw to the end zone, touchdown, David Johnson.
Well, hopping and limping, and I'll tell you, that hurt, Ben. That hurt. He's over on the sidelines, and that's one of those, before you do it, you go, I know this is going to hurt, but this is going to take them by surprise. And Ben's going to come out of the pocket on the fake. He hasn't done anything like this all week long. But he got the touchdown. His movement made the play. And I guess he just says, well, I'll limp afterwards.
He said all week long he's been taking part in the passing plays, but Charlie Batch has been doing all the runs, which hasn't pleased Charlie a whole lot. Extra point is good. 6:11 to play in the first half, and the Pittsburgh Steelers slowly taking charge. It's 21-3. Well, Ben Roethlisberger just 3 touchdown passes over the first 4 games. He has thrown TD passes today to Heath Miller, Hines Ward, and David Johnson.
And just look at him limp.
And 150 career TD passes now for Ben. Mariani will not run this one out of the end zone, and Tennessee will start from its own 20-yard line. Hey, this week, Dave's all new with former President Bill Clinton, and tomorrow, catch Tracy Morgan, followed by The Late Late Show with Craig Ferguson, only CBS.
And again, Ben, is just exhibiting such toughness, leadership over there with the guys. He is, again, I've used the phrase with him before, a throwback.
Chris Johnson to about the 24. Meanwhile, Marcus Gilbert, we are told from the sideline that the Steelers re-injured that sore shoulder, and his return is questionable.
Well, one of the adjustments that the Steelers have made defensively here is Lawrence Timmons moving from his customary spot inside to the spot where James Harrison played at outside linebacker. And the Steelers are so fortunate to have an athlete with the versatility that Timmons has, where he can slide outside and do it comfortably.
Hasselbeck Over the middle, got his man at the 40-yard line, complete to Damian Williams. Time for another NFL Today update. JB and Boom.
Greg and Dan, not a pretty first half for Michael Vick.
Yeah, he's been terrible. This is his third interception of the half. Here's to Nick Barnett. He's going to take it back 31 yards for a touchdown. Those 3 interceptions in a game ties a career high for Michael Vick. Buffalo's on top, 21-7.
Back to Greg and Dan.
Dan, you tell me right now, who wants to go into Buffalo and play those Bills?
Nobody. I like the way Boomer sugarcoats things, too. He's terrible. Well, Chris Johnson has had one good run today. And there it was off the left side where he got some good blocking. And then he's really had difficulty trying to find anything. Cutbacks haven't been there. Hasn't been great blocking at the point of attack. This has been a pretty good effort by the Steelers defense to this point. We're not to halftime yet. You know, Chris Johnson, any play, he can take it all the way with that speed.
On 2nd and 10, short drop pass to this side. That's complete to Williams, and Williams gets wrapped up at about the 43-yard line.
Good play there by Lawrence Timmons again, getting out in coverage and making the tackle.
Well, there was no question that Chris Johnson was going to be the focus of the Steelers defense today. And Dan, all of the talk has been, not just this week, but since early on in the season, are the Steelers getting too old? But we heard from both sides this weekend, a couple of games this year, the Steelers played like the Steelers, and a couple of times they played poorly.
Yeah, they just played poorly. They didn't get old in 1 year.
3rd and 8. Hasselbeck down. Ziggy Hood, Lamar Woodley led the charge.
And again, the Steelers are showing you, and again, keep in mind, this is against a good offensive line, that they are more than James Harrison. And again, that's Matt Hasselbeck had nowhere to go. He had time initially to find an open receiver. You got to credit the back 7 in that case. They took it away. And not very often you see a quarterback spin out of there and find anything good at the other end of that spin.
Antonio Brown back at his own 20-yard line. And we'll watch this one float out of bounds. And we have a penalty marker down.
All the way back upfield. It's clear back up at the 42-yard line.
During the kick, holding number 55, receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. It'll be first down.
Stevenson Sylvester, the second-year linebacker, guilty. And let's go back to Mr. Roethlisberger.
Well, he was the story coming in here with this tender left foot. And I guess he's enjoyed some good protection. A lot of his work has been in the pocket, but 3 touchdown passes. Miller, Ward, and then he finally finishes it off to David Johnson. And again, you can see how tender that foot is as he hobbles to the sideline. But he's doubled his touchdown pass output of the year in this game. 3 coming in, 3 already. And as you can see, he's enjoyed a pretty good life to this point in the pocket.
Oh, that patchwork offensive line has done a great job protecting him. Redley to about the 12, where Barrett Ruud closed on him.
Well, that patchwork offensive line, Greg, is even more patchwork with Marcus Gilbert having a bad shoulder there. They don't have many bodies in reserve. Jamon Meredith is about the only guy they have left in case somebody else gets dinged. And keep in mind, Legursky's got a bad shoulder. Marquise Pouncey has a bad shoulder. Max Starks had to introduce himself to his old friends after being gone for a while.
Comes the blitz, quick pass, complete to Wallace.
And that's something Mike Wallace is going to see. He's going to see some room underneath. McCourty to that side is giving Wallace a big cushion. And that's the second time today where we've seen Ben more than willing to take some yardage, some cheap yardage over there because of the size of that cushion.
Mike Wallace is no longer a secret in the National Football League.
No, he's not. And you know, with Mike Wallace and Chris Johnson on the field, we've got two of the fastest receivers in this game.
We come to the 2-minute warning at Heinz Field. It has been mostly Steelers, 21-3. There's the rookie, Marcus Gilbert. His return, as we said, is questionable with a shoulder injury, but you can see what the Steelers have done offensively. And this is a team that came into this game ranked 21st in the league in rushing with less than 94 yards a game. They're up over 100 already. Roethlisberger, short pop over the middle. That's complete to about the 22 or the 23-yard line. A reminder coming up. The Sprint halftime report with JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Bill Cowher for all the latest NFL scores and highlights coming up on the Sprint halftime report.
Roethlisberger without a huddle gets his team up there in a hurry.
That one is incomplete, intended for Wallace.
Pass intended for Wallace, incomplete.
And you know, this is just a matter of time working underneath here. Wow. And that's Alderon Verner.
Coverage by Verner.
That's a really good cover, but I got to tell you something. These short passes to Mike Wallace, Bruce Arians is going to go long here pretty soon. He's got to go for a home run.
Over the middle. Roethlisberger threads the needle to Heath Miller, and Miller with a first down across the 40, a 19-yard pickup, and a timeout is called to stop the clock with 1:26 to play.
These Steelers are playing with an attitude. They are playing with effort. And you can see it, the way they are finishing runs, catches, blocks. Mike Munchak's crew is facing an uphill climb.
You see Sean Sweezum's career long of 52. This season, he has a long of 48. The Steelers down to one timeout remaining. That's another first down. To the 45 of the Titans. Hines Ward on the receiving end.
Well, Bruce Arians says I dial up about 5 home runs to Mike Wallace a game. This would be a nice time to sneak one in.
Penalty markers fly. This play doesn't count.
Well, now if it was only the Titans offside, the play would continue.
Neutral zone infraction, number 90, defense. Moving into the neutral zone causing an immediate reaction by the offensive player. It's 5-yard penalty, still first down.
And that's what brought it to a stop. He got one of the offensive linemen to flinch. There's Bruce Arians right there. 5th year as the play caller here for the Steelers. And he's got, again, he said, I just can't stand it when I leave the field and I didn't get 5 or 6 good stretch the field plays to Mike Wallace.
Roethlisberger with room to play with here on 1st and 5. That one tipped at the line, falls incomplete.
Roethlisberger's pass.
Ben knew he had it.
1:02 to play.
And there's Anthony Smith who realized he wasn't going to get there. Anthony Smith realized he wasn't going to get there in time to actually hit Roethlisberger. That's a smart move. Elevate, use your eye-hand coordination and get a hand on the ball.
When we talked to Ben yesterday morning, Dan, he really didn't know whether a left foot injury or a right foot injury would bother his passing more.
I think he did agree that the left would probably cause less because you don't drive off it as much as you do your right. The play
pulls it down, throws incomplete at the 30-yard line off the fingertips of Antonio Brown.
You know, when you're dropping back into the pocket, you have to stop your momentum by throwing that right foot out, and it really does. That plant, that hurts. Now Ben's in pain, even with the left, but I can only imagine that being the right would even be maybe a little more cumbersome to have to deal with.
58 seconds on the clock, 3rd and 5.
The offensive line there identify Witherspoon as the Mike linebacker.
Roethlisberger throwing, crossing pattern, complete. Hines Ward, first down. Inside the 35 to the 34. Clock is running, coming up on 45 seconds to play in the first half.
I bet Hines is enjoying being back as a good part of this offense. Already got a touchdown catch in his first half.
Roethlisberger. And that's off the hands of Emmanuel Sanders.
And even on the ground, he's got a chance to make this catch. You can see that I don't know if he ran his pattern a little more severely in terms of crossing than what Ben was anticipating, or if Ben just threw it behind him. But that was a heck of an effort by Sanders of trying to stop his momentum and stop it to a point where he could make a play on the football.
29 seconds to play, 2nd and 10. Inside the 30 to the 27, Antonio Brown. Clock is running, 20 seconds to play.
Ben's going to want to spike this ball.
Throws it out here, it's intercepted. Picked off by Cortland Finnegan.
Well, I'm not the only one that thought Ben was going to spike the ball. Some of his teammates did as well.
You talk about a heads-up pick.
Well, it ends up getting thrown right to him. Ben initially made the motion like he was going to spike the football, and I don't know if he's trying to go to Hines Ward, but Hines is actually looking like he might be going out there to block, and I think, much to his surprise, he sees the ball sail over his shoulder right to Cortland Finnegan.
First interception of the season for Cortland Finnegan.
And that was that was really a mistake of huge implication. I mean, 24-3, that would have really been something. And then, boy, you just hate to make a mistake that far down the field at this time.
Hasselbeck gives to Chris Johnson. And Johnson across the 40 to about the 43-yard line. And with that time expires here in the first half. That's the end of the first half. Pittsburgh 21, the Titans 3. Back with the Sprint halftime report after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS. Roethlisberger, goal line, touchdown. Day that is not quite so beautiful to the Tennessee Titans as when it began. At halftime, the Steelers leading the Titans by a score of 21-3. Greg Gumbel, along with Dan Dierdorf, back with you at Heinz Field. And I know you are always fond of saying there's no animal as dangerous as a wounded one, and that perfectly describes these Pittsburgh Steelers as they arrived here today.
They're playing like professionals that have a lot of pride. And, they couldn't run the ball. Their offensive line was in shambles. Defensively, they're missing a lot of starters. They can't defend the run. Well, for 30 minutes, on both sides of the football, Greg, they have been solid.
And that's not to say that this game is over. There is still much to be done. But I recall as we talked to Dick LeBeau, he said that you're usually dealing with plans B and C. He's down to about G right now.
And that's what he said. But remember the very last thing he said to us. He said, my guys have not just all of a sudden forgotten how to play defense. That's not happening.
There's the Hall of Famer Dick LeBeau. And now take a look at the NFL Mobile Recap presented by Verizon.
Well, it's always about teamwork, and here's Heath Miller just sitting down in the middle of the zone. But then there's Max Starks, great friends with Ben Roethlisberger, back on the roster, out on the field, the first to congratulate his good buddy. And they are pals.
I don't think there is anything more curious for me than how the Tennessee Titans are going to answer the call here in the second half.
No, because they've been challenged. They have not matched. And now, don't get me wrong now, they're not playing lackadaisical football, but the Steelers have been playing with an attitude. The Steelers have been playing with an edge, and the Titans have worked hard and struggled to try to match it. And to this point, they haven't matched it.
There has been a great deal of talk this week, and today particularly, about the passing of Al Davis. And Dan, you and I, of course, have known Al Davis for more than just a few years, and we had a chance to talk with Dan Rooney yesterday as well.
We did. In fact, we were visiting with Mr. Rooney not within the hour of him finding out that Al Davis had passed away. And you know, of course, the tradition and the rivalry between the Steelers and the Raiders. And, you know, Dan Rooney told us that when he said goodbye to the owners when he became the ambassador to Ireland, that he was going to be gone for several years. He said goodbye to all of them, and he said, "I'm going to miss you all, even you, Al." And he said that when it was over, Al came up and shook his hand, and in reality was the only guy that made the point to come over and shake his hand and wish him well.
Special relationship.
Well, Al Davis was, the word great is overused, but not in this case. He was a great visionary of football.
Steelers getting the football to start the second half here. Antonio Brown is going to run this one out from deep in the end zone. Out across the 20, out to about the 23 or the 24-yard line. And it continues to be, hey, chippy is a nice word for it, isn't it?
Well, the Titans and the Steelers, let's be realistic. They've played more than their fair share of chippy football games. These are two football teams that don't back down from anyone.
Dan, this is the 5th game of the season under a brand new head coach. You might normally think a team might still be looking to find itself under a new head coach, except Mike Munchak has been around this franchise.
Yeah, he has. He's been there a long time, but he's got new coordinators on both sides of the ball, and there was no offseason and a very compressed training camp to get everything in. They've not hit their stride yet.
This is Redmond. And Redmond runs into a brick wall. There's a
late flag. And you know, Greg, really, you know, who's got an advantage here? Look at the coordinators for Pittsburgh. I mean, Bruce Arians, he's in his 5th year. Mike Tomlin's in his 5th year as head coach. Dick LeBeau is in his 377th year of being a defensive coordinator. So, you know, who's going to hit the ground in stride?
Illegal hands to the face, number 93, defense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
There's Jerry Gray, the defensive coordinator for Tennessee.
And Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator for Tennessee. They've had to get new systems in place, a new quarterback on the other side of the ball. Now, you know, they're both very experienced coordinators, but without that offseason, those OTAs, the mini camps and whatnot, it's been a struggle for teams with new systems.
On 1st and 5, Redmond trying to turn the corner, not going to be able to do it. And we get another flag.
Personal foul, grabbing the face mask, number 55, defense, 15-yard penalty, first down.
That's Barrett Ruud.
Well, Barrett Ruud, a free agent who signed from Tampa Bay, he's going to be coming in here from the left. And Redmond tries to ward him off. He puts a hand in Ruud's face, and yeah, you can see right there. Look at the helmet twist, and that's why you can see when you see the running back's head twist like that, you know that the tackler's got a pretty strong grip on it.
You know, when Barrett Ruud walked into our meeting and talked to us, I really thought he seemed to be too nice a guy to be a middle linebacker.
Yeah, he's not the typical middle linebacker. Way too personable.
First down, quick pass. Far side, complete to Mike Wallace, and he is cut down in a hurry.
And again, you know, there's a good look at Mike Wallace and his evolution as a receiver. You know, a blazing fast guy, but you know this pattern. On the other end of this thing is a collision. And yet Mike Wallace is still willing to run these patterns. And Cortland Finnegan is going to oblige him, going right to the hip and to the thigh. That is, there's no wrap-up involved, but he certainly takes Mike Wallace's legs out of the equation. But Mike Wallace is becoming a complete receiver.
6-yard pickup, 2nd and 4. Roethlisberger hit. Bounces off.
How did he keep control of that football?
Stayed upright, held on to the football.
Jarrell Casey, I believe, hits Ben while he's in the act of throwing, and somehow Ben maintains control of the ball. Watch this. There's the windup, and That's beyond belief. Now Ben has lost 5 fumbles already this year, and how that ball didn't come out of there, I have no idea.
No one would have blamed him for number 6 there.
I'll talk about a strong grip.
3rd and 8.
Although it would have been an incomplete pass, I think his arm was moving forward.
That one batted at the line, falls incomplete, and so Pittsburgh will kick it away, and Anthony Smith, for the 2nd time today, with his hands on a pass.
Well, the Tennessee defense has done their job here at the beginning of the 2nd half. And again, another batted ball by a player who's a good 4 or 5 yards away from the quarterback.
Mark Mariani deep for the kick, ostensibly, from Daniel Sepulveda.
Well, I would assume that the Titans are going to make an adjustment here and not just concede the middle of the field to the Steelers. That was as pretty of a fake punt that they ran in the first half as I've seen in a while.
Kicks this one away, Mariani, from just inside the 10-yard line. And doesn't make it out to the 20. Stacked up there. If there's pushing and shoving at the bottom of that pile, it would only continue the tradition between these two teams. It is a long-time rivalry. Today is no different. They didn't exactly bring Valentine's to the field today. 21-3 Steelers. Tennessee back on offense from their own 19-yard line, and this is Chris Johnson. Johnson out to about the 24-yard line.
Well, the Titans that time trying to go with power football. They brought a reserve offensive lineman, Mike Otto, in to play tight end, and they're really trying to stretch this Steeler defense a little bit so that a cutback lane might open up for Chris Johnson. Take a look at the way the Titans have been shut down basically on the last 4 drives. After a good opening drive that resulted in a field goal, Dick LeBeau's group has tightened things up.
Johnson going the other way. You know, we specifically, Dan, talked to him about how he missed training camp while he negotiated his new contract. He said, I can't say that I missed training camp, but maybe the numbers say otherwise.
Well, no, the numbers do say otherwise. Even with 101 yards last week, he still doesn't look like he's synced up. And, you know, some of it's blocking. There wasn't a hole there. That was just really good defense by the Steelers. Jim Brown wouldn't have made positive yardage on that last play either. There's Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator. That last one was blocking. But still, I don't think Chris Johnson looks like the Chris Johnson of old. At least not yet.
3rd and 6. Hasselbeck complete to Lavelle Hawkins, but he is brought down 2 yards shy of a first down by Ryan Clark and number 43, what's his name?
Yeah, well, when you're thrown to the receiver that's being bracketed by these 2 safeties of the Steelers, you're inviting trouble. And with Clark and Polamalu doing the sandwich, Hawkins really had no chance. And really, quite frankly, I don't know why Hasselbeck didn't go away from that. Because that was a completion that had little chance of being good enough for a first down.
Brett Kern to kick it away. Antonio Brown and Emmanuel Sanders are deep. And this one will sail out of bounds to the far side of the field. And this one will be spotted at right about the 30 or the 28-yard line. We'll be back. A look at the street alongside Heinz Field here, renamed Chuck Noll Way just last week. The Steeler head coach who won 4 Super Bowl champions. As we go back to action, Ben Roethlisberger, play fake, over the middle, got Heinz Ward again. Out across the 40 to the 45-yard line.
Well, a nice pattern and a really good throw from Ben Roethlisberger. And again, Heinz, it's like the harder you hit him, the more likely he is to get up with a big smile. You can see his man underneath, safety's deep. Michael Griffin is the guy that delivers the big hit. Babineau is in a position where he's strictly a trailer, That's a big pop from Griffin, but you know what? I'm telling you, the harder you hit him, the more he seems to pop up and smile.
16-yard pickup on that Roethlisberger to Hines Ward, and here is Isaac Redmond straight ahead. Redmond has first down yardage across midfield to about the 43 of Tennessee.
Well, I can tell you right now that Rashard Mendenhall isn't playing because he's got a bad hamstring. But Isaac Redmond, making his first start, is seizing the opportunity. Again, good blocking, but that's running through a tackle. He ran right through the tackle of Barrett Ruud. Now, that was a good piece of tackling downfield by Michael Griffin. But again, nice effort by Redmond, and Rashard Mendenhall is a spectator today. And take a look at that. The Steelers have got the big plays today.
Roethlisberger, quick pass to Ward, and Ward is brought down right at about the line of scrimmage.
And you can see that this, again, there is some hard hitting going on out here. Max Starks having to go at left tackle. I don't think the plan was for him to play the whole game, but because of Marcus Gilbert getting banged up on the other side, Big Max, with just a couple days of practice, having to go the distance.
His relief was Jonathan Scott, and Jonathan Scott has had to fill in on the other side.
Yeah, I don't think that was in the plan.
2nd and 9. Roethlisberger on the money, inside the 25 to Heath Miller. 20 yards, first down.
Now there's a laser. Look at this. That is, it's a little wobbly, but it is exactly where it was supposed to be. All right, let's check out Starks on the other side, working against Morgan. They had a pretty good job. He just routes him right past Roethlisberger. He doesn't get a glove on him.
Redmond still on his feet. Close to the 15-yard line. I think the biggest contrast, Dan, to Ben Roethlisberger today as opposed to a week ago, and we mentioned it right at the very top of the day, he took a pounding at the hands of the Houston Texans last week. The line is doing such a much better job today.
Ben has taken a pounding every game they've played. He has, and now we've got Trey Essex in the game, and Legursky has slid over to center because Marquise Pouncey is on the Steelers sideline.
2nd and 4, this is Redmond. And Redmond to the 11 and a first down.
Again, Isaac Redmond is really putting together a nice effort. He spun off of one of his own players. You know, he goes into this spin, and I think he's going to bounce right off the back. Is that Heath Miller? Is that his own tight end? Yes, it's Heath Miller as he spins back to the inside. Pretty creative use of a teammate.
Redmond again. Maybe back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, I tell you one thing you see about Isaac Redmond is when he faces a decision, do I bounce it outside or back to the inside, he heads back to the middle. And you can see they're working on Marquise Pouncey over there on the Steelers sideline. They've got his shoe off. And again, this MASH unit of an offensive line just keeps plugging away.
Jonathan Dwyer now in the backfield. Steelers have been 3 for 3 reaching the end zone in the red zone today. Here's Dwyer, left side, blocking. Max Starks in front of it to the 5.
Well, Jonathan Dwyer, remember the hole he saw off the right side in the first half for that long run, and this time it's a pretty good crease on the left side of things. No panic in Mike Munchak. He is as steady of a guy as you will ever meet.
Yeah, but no answers yet either.
No. Well, his team is on the road playing a good football team. Maybe a team that hasn't been playing great football to this point, but it's still a good football team.
Roethlisberger on 3rd and 4. Quick pass. Touchdown. Hines Ward.
Hines doing a little dancing with the stars right there. How about that little samba move he put on? Now, I got to tell you something. You've got some athleticism when you can make a catch and a move almost simultaneously. Look at this. Watch, he's going to do the little jump cut right back to the inside, up and over, and Michael Griffin gets nothing but air. That was slick.
The kick is good. 4:44 to play in the 3rd quarter. The Steelers extend their lead to 28-3. Ben Roethlisberger to Max Starks. Welcome back, bud.
I love you, man.
Ben Roethlisberger authoring his first 4-touchdown game since November of 2007. But they have sustained yet another injury to their offensive line. Marquise Pouncey, we're told, knee problems, and his return is questionable. Mark Mariani on the run at the goal line. And out across the 20 to about the 23-yard line. 4 minutes, 37 seconds to play in the 3rd quarter. Mike Munchak looking for answers. Noise level has gone up a bit here at Heinz Field.
I'll tell you what, this is some scene.
Tennessee trying to find something going on offense. First down at their own 23. Hasselbeck with good time throwing over the middle, and that is caught just short of the 40-yard line by Lavelle Hawkins. And no, now it's ruled incomplete, and Lavelle Hawkins looks like he wants someone to throw the challenge flag.
Yeah. Receivers always want somebody to throw the challenge flag. Let's see if he's got a point. Well, at that, right there, it looks like that's coming up off his hand.
He might have a point.
Well, I don't know on that one.
And it's been thrown by Mike Munchak.
Now that last one, the first one, it looked like it was all coming up off his forearms. Now that last one, the question is, did the ball split his arms and hit the field?
Tennessee is challenging the ruling on the field of an incomplete pass.
So while Walt Anderson takes a look, we'll take a break.
Welcome back to Pittsburgh. Lavelle Hawkins was pleading his case to his sideline, and I think he's got a pretty good one. I think he got his arms underneath there, and the ball ricocheted up into his chest, and he controls it. I think that's a catch. When you look at this right here, he's got his hands under the ball, and I do not see the ball touching the ground when it's not under his control. He's got the ball cradled. Yeah.
After reviewing the play, it is a catch. The receiver has his hands under the ball. He then secures control of the ball before it hits the ground. It is a catch. Tennessee is not charged with a timeout. It's first down at the 39-yard line.
And you're right, Dan. A head coach cannot always believe his player, because his player will always say that he made the play.
Well, I said to Mike, do you really, are you getting help along these lines? He said, oh, yeah, absolutely, because you do not believe the receiver. They always think they caught it.
16-yard pickup puts the ball at the Tennessee 39. Comes the blitz. Incomplete near side of the field. Damian Williams, the intended receiver. And Hasselbeck was running out of time.
Well, and again, this is where a new quarterback in a new system with new receivers, these are the little things that take the most time. The blitz adjustment, you see the blocking is pretty good, but the pattern has to be adjusted. The quarterback has to throw to a spot, and there's a lot of coordination involved there. And I think it's obvious here in a couple situations, the Titans are a little lacking in that court. It's not there. It's not saying it's not going to get there. It's just not there yet.
Pass Hasselbeck throws, complete, coming across the field is Nate Washington, and Washington out of bounds at about the Steeler 40-yard line. 21-yard pickup and a first down. What they have not done today, Dan, talking about Tennessee, they haven't been able to get Chris Johnson the ball with the little running space around him. They haven't been flipping it to him out of the backfield.
No, and I expected more short passes, more chances to get Chris Johnson out in space. I mean, if you can isolate him one-on-one with someone in space, you're asking for a big play.
Hasselbeck, short pop over the middle. Inside the 40 to the 37, and that's Chris Johnson.
Well, and there we go. That's the kind of stuff I thought we'd see more of coming into this.
3-yard pickup, 2nd and 7, and Matt Hasselbeck. And the offense has picked up the pace.
And absolutely, as well they should. Down 28-3.
Hasselbeck behind his man, and incomplete, and almost a terrific catch by Jared Cook. Or no, now they're ruling it a catch.
And Hasselbeck is trying to get him up to the line in a hurry. Mike Tomlin's got to make a snap decision here.
He's got a hand in the pocket, but he's not going to pull it out in time. Hasselbeck going for the end zone. And Damian Williams late on the break.
Well, Mike Tomlin had a little less urgency involved in whether to challenge that or not when you're hit by 25 points. You can live without a challenge. Let's take a look at it again. The ball way behind him. It's loose. Oh, it's on the ground. That's not even close to a catch. That's not even close to a catch.
It's in the books now.
That ball was, well, it goes down as a catch. That ball was lying on the field.
2nd and 10. Hasselbeck throws. That one behind his intended receiver, Nate Washington, and came very close to being picked.
I'll say this, there aren't Tennessee Titan receivers running loose in this Pittsburgh secondary. They are being shadowed. It seems like every pass is being contested. They have tightened things up in the secondary of the Steelers. That is not a good statistic to be the only team in the NFL not to have converted a 3rd and 10 plus.
Pump fake over the middle. They've done it now inside the 5 to about the 1. Nate Washington, it'll be 1st and goal.
And the minute I say how tight the coverage has been with the Steelers in the secondary, they go to sleep. They go to sleep, and Nate Washington, running a simple post pattern, is wide open. That was nothing fancy at all, and Nate Washington totally disregarded. In comes Mike Otto, number 66 again, as a tight end.
This 8-play drive has all been through the air. The give now to Chris Johnson to the end zone for the touchdown.
Well, give the Titans credit. Now, they were aided by an incompletion that ended up going into the books as a completion, but still, that was a timely drive and restores a little self-confidence.
That is Chris Johnson's first touchdown of the season. It comes with 2:02 to play in the 3rd quarter of the 5th game of the season. For the extra point. And Tennessee closes to 28-10.
Well, again, you see Timmons goes upfield, but there's supposed to be some flow from the inside, some pursuit, and there's absolutely nothing. A great steal to the inside by Michael Roos, number 71, the left tackle, and Chris Johnson just walks into the end zone.
A reminder, this is a doubleheader day here on CBS. Coming your way next, the New York Jets at New England. How important is that game for each of those two teams?
That is a fantastic football game. Even if you don't like football, you got to watch that game. If you're a tennis fan, you have to watch that game.
San Diego at Denver. Check your local listings.
Let's check out some folks, what they're doing in the world of fantasy. Guess what? Drew Brees up there again. Matt Castle, there's a surprise with 3 touchdowns with only 196 yards. D'Angelo Williams over the century mark.
Adrian Peterson racking up yards at home against the Arizona Cardinals.
He racked up 3 touchdowns. And how about the Colts? With Painter, Garcon gets a couple touchdowns, $119. Dwayne Bowe making a little noise in Kansas City. They've been awfully quiet. Byron Leftwich is on injured reserves, standing there talking to Ben Roethlisberger.
With the iPod in his ear?
Well, I don't think he's...
No, I don't think it is.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt that he's listening to the play call.
So Antonio Brown stands in the end zone.
He's a big play waiting to happen, isn't it? There's the onside.
And it's up in the air and on the ground. And Tennessee has it, it looks like.
Looks like it came off a Steeler right to one of the Titans.
They do.
No, not one guy.
Well, one official.
We're getting conflicting signals here. One official is giving it to Tennessee, one to Pittsburgh.
First down, Tennessee.
Tennessee football.
Again, a high pooch kick. Is Werner going to come up with this ball? It sure is. It bounces off of Sylvester originally. It bounces off of Arnez Battle, number 81. And then you can see right there, Sylvester's got a shot at it. He can't corral it. And then that finally, Werner is the Titan able to get control of the football.
First down at the Pittsburgh 45. Hasselbeck. Batted up in the air and intercepted. Lamar Woodley. Brett Kiesel appeared to get his hands on it to bat it into the air, and Woodley came down with it.
Boy, that seems like it's the third, at least the third pass of Matt Hasselbeck's that's been batted today by the Steelers. And you're right, there's Kiesel, gets the right hand on it, and boy, does that thing get some elevation. And Lamar Woodley goes, what a great job by Woodley of catching the ball with David Stewart all over him, driving him into the ground. Tremendous concentration by Woodley.
Change of momentum again. The Steelers register their first interception of this season. Dwyer. Hole on the left side. To the 45 of the Titans.
And just think about what you just said, Greg. Coming into this game, they're the #1 ranked pass defense in the NFL yardage-wise without an interception. And they're into the second half of the 5th game until they get one. And who do they get? They get one by a pass rusher. The first interception comes from Lamar Woodley, who's primarily a pass rusher.
Second and short yardage. Dwyer again, and he has the first down. Diving on the left side, and we check back into New York once again. JB and Boomer, guys.
Vic trying to make amends for 3 picks, Boomer.
That's right. Well, you could do this when you have this kind of ability. He could see that the Buffalo secondary turns their backs on Michael Vick. He's going to go down the right sideline for a 53-yard run that will set up a LaShawn McCoy 10-yard TD run, 28-14 Buffalo.
Made Vic the all-time leading rusher among quarterbacks. Back to Greg and Dan.
All right, guys, thank you. Pittsburgh, first down. This is Dwyer. Dwyer, out of bounds. A couple of yards short of another first down.
Well, I think I think Bill Cowher, sitting in our studios back in New York, has seen this before. The Steeler running game trying to protect the lead by grinding out some first downs. And then a nice job transferring the ball to the left hand when he senses the tackler coming from the right. And that's going to take us to the end of the third quarter. And Mike Tomlin taking a lesson from Steeler coaches with a pass. Let's take the air out of this football.
We've come to the end of 3. Pittsburgh in the lead, 28-10. Back to Heinz Field in Pittsburgh after this message and a word from your local station. On a beautiful day, aerial coverage of today's game provided by MetLife. Welcome back, everyone. Our producer, Mark Wolf, our director, Bob Fishman, our terrific CBS Sports crew, Greg Gumbel, Dan Deerdorf, to start the fourth quarter. Jonathan Dwyer, his first career 100-yard game. End around Mike Wallace. Wallace spins inside the 30 to about the 27 or the 28-yard line. That's an 8-yard gain.
And Mike Pouncey is back out onto the Marquise Pouncey, back out on the field for the Steelers with a bad knee. And what does he do? He pivots and pulls and gets out front and leads this end around. Watch this. Here he comes. Bad knee and all. He's going to get the block right there that sets it up inside for Wallace, and then stay with a guy and come and wipe out another tight.
The thing that's amazing about him, he's such an exceptional athlete. We saw him running on the field earlier today, Dan. He looked like a linebacker.
He does. He runs like a much smaller man. God, does he love the game of football.
This is Dwyer. A gain of 1.
The first time we ever sat down with Marquise Pouncey and talked to him, his infectious attitude about the game of football just bubbles out of the guy. Here he is working inside, getting a double team with Legursky, and it's his job to come off and rub off to the linebacker at the second level. In that case, it's Will Witherspoon, and he just removes him from the scene.
55.
He is one special football player. Of course, a Pro Bowler in his rookie year. Don't see that every day.
On 2nd and 9, Roethlisberger will screen set up. This is Redmond, and Redmond inside the 20-yard line. Once again, JV and Boomer in New York City.
Carolina within 3 of the Saints. Boom.
Cam Newton's going to find Brandon LaFell for 20 yards down to the 1-yard line. Newton will then take it in from 1 yard out. 5th rushing TD on the year for Cam Newton. 23-20. Drew Brees just threw an interception. Carolina's ball.
Cam. Back to Greg Gumbel. Dan Deerdorf.
Hey, those Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton can put points on the board, can't they?
Yes, they can.
On the field is Isaac Redmond. So they will tend to him. We'll take a break with 13-16 to play in the fourth. There's Isaac Redmond, who just walked off the field under his own power, albeit gingerly, and Jonathan Dwyer replaces him.
I mean, right now, for his sake, you're hoping it's a cramp and nothing more severe than that. We couldn't see anybody land on his legs.
3rd and 1. Roethlisberger going to throw for it. And that's complete inside the 10-yard line to Mike Wallace. It'll be 1st and goal.
See, when you're running the football, that kind of a fake really is effective. And the Steelers have been running the football. But again, you got to respect that speed of Mike Wallace. He gets a little bit of a shove on McCourty. Every time I look at Mike Wallace, he's become a more accomplished receiver than the time before. I mean, that's a little Michael Irvin move right there, where you get away with a little bit of offensive interference, but just a smidge.
Pittsburgh looking to go 5 for 5 for touchdowns in the red zone today. Here's Dwyer. And Dwyer wrestled down at the 7.
Mike Tomlin told us something, Greg. He said, you know what? Our run defense will get better when we run the ball better. And you know what? We've seen that here today. The Steelers have given up 47 yards rushing, but they've got 169 yards on the ground. And Mike Tomlin is right. They really are connected. When you possess the ball, it really reduces the other team's ability to run it themselves.
2nd and goal. Roethlisberger Throwing for the corner of the end zone and incomplete. Intended for Heath Miller. It'll be 3rd and goal.
Yeah, nice job there by Jordan Babineau. He wasn't fooled at all, and he wasn't biting on this little out and up. See Miller just acting like he's running a pattern into the flat, and then he's going to turn upfield, and Babineau was having none of that. And that's basically just a throwaway from Ben.
And as we thought what might be possible, Isaac Redmond suffering from cramping in the leg is the report from the sideline. 3rd and goal.
And this weather today surprised people. It's warmer than they thought.
Roethlisberger throwing, it's complete inside the 5 to Dwyer, and he's brought up short of the goal line.
You know, we talked about Redmond cramping up there, Greg. I'm telling you something. I am so impressed that Max Starks has played this entire game so far for the Steelers. At this point, you got to be thinking, wow, he's got a chance at a touchdown? But one defender down around the ankles, McCourty, and then Babineau, and a good hit. Babineau's low, and then here comes McCourty high. Nice double teamwork. And I'm telling you, for a guy that hasn't played a football game in nearly a year with only a couple days practice, showing some pretty good cardio.
Sweezer is good. 10:45 to play in the 4th.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by McDonald's. I'm loving it. In Time, October 28th, only in theaters. And by Toyota.
Ben Roethlisberger on the sideline, having conversations, and at this point you wonder how much longer Ben will continue to take part in this game with a 31-10 lead for the Steelers.
Well, you better get a rope and tie him up because he won't leave on his own.
Mark Mariani will not run this one out of the end zone, and the Tennessee Titans will take over at their own 20-yard line. And with that, we remind you tomorrow, the only thing these two girls have in common, they're broke. 2 broke girls right after How I Met Your Mother, only CBS.
Well, this game has been welcome tonic to both the Steelers and to their fan base, because there would be fair to say, Greg, there was considerable angst among the faithful.
I think angst would be putting it kindly. And there was a significant possibility for a momentum shift when the Titans recovered the onside kick that gave it right back with the interception.
Yeah, the next play.
Pass to the far side, that is complete to Damian Williams. Once again to New York. And an NFL Today update, guys.
Can't keep the Panthers down, Boomer.
Well, after an interception by Drew Brees, Cam Newton watched a quick release. Decisive right there. Touchdown to Greg Olsen, 5 yards. Carolina takes the lead, 27-23.
Oh, Cam, Greg, and Dan.
Thanks, guys. Matt Hasselbeck with the pass. That's complete to Nate Washington, and Nate Washington about a yard short of a first down.
If you're not impressed with Cam Newton and what he's doing as a rookie, I know he's the #1 pick and all this and all that, but still, this is pretty mind-numbing what he's doing.
Chris Johnson has the first down across the 30 to about the 33.
You know, he's making his fair share of mistakes and thrown some picks, but wow, what we're seeing, he is
he's an offensive machine.
Oh, he's special.
Hasselbeck looking to find the rhythm. Shuffles it out to Johnson, and Johnson to the 41.
And right now you're seeing a pretty soft coverage here by the Steelers. They're giving the Titans room underneath, trying to make everything happen in front of them.
This appears to be about the pace of the Titans practices that we've heard about under Hasselbeck's direction. Down the sideline, incomplete.
Hasselbeck's pass incomplete.
That's intended for Damian Williams. And it'll be 3rd and 2. We don't want to get out of here today, Dan, without talking about the immense respect that Mike Tomlin, the Pittsburgh coach, has for Tennessee's right tackle David Stewart.
Yeah, Big Stewart there, number 76. David he's just flat mean. and when a coach says that, that's a compliment. He goes, he's a pace setter today, a tone setter.
Over the middle, that's complete, and enough for the first down to Javon Ringer.
I mean, his nickname with the Titans is Country, but David Stewart is just a nasty guy on the field, off the field, as quiet and unassuming as you could ever imagine.
A little misread on that, and Hasselbeck's pass falls incomplete. You're right. It was like pulling teeth to get him to talk.
Well, we had a meeting where we brought Stewart in along with Michael Roos, and it was quite a tag team. You ask David a question, and Michael answers the question. he just defers. He just defers to Michael Roos, and one of those basically, please answer that. I don't want to. The guy, you love his attitude.
Mike Tomlin says he is a mean human being. Hasselbeck throws that one out to Javon Ringer, and Ringer is cut down out there by William Gay.
Yeah, I've got to, William Gay is playing some good football here for the Steelers. Let's check out, this is Woodley going against Stewart. And David is 6'7", 315, and Lamar couldn't get the edge on him.
3rd and 12. Over the middle. That's complete, and right at the first down marker at the 45-yard line. Making the catch is Nate Washington.
Do you know who we haven't even mentioned today? Ike Taylor. Ike Taylor, the corner for the Steelers. No, they're not even going anywhere near him so far in this game.
We've seen that before, haven't we?
Oh, he's playing so well.
Hasselbeck, near sideline. Diving attempt is not successful on the near sideline. That was Lavelle Hawkins.
I mean, Greg, is it just me, but I can't remember them going in Ike Taylor's direction once this whole game.
I believe that's called smart football.
Well, that is sure a testament to how well you're playing and how much you're respected by the other team. And Mike Tomlin telling us about Ike, he goes, I've never had a corner that just begs for man coverage and to be left alone without any safety help more than Ike Taylor. To say that he's got confidence is an understatement. There he is at the top. He's at the top of your screen.
Inside the 40-yard line is Mark Mariani, the kick returner who is in as a receiver.
Like the Jets with Revis and the great shutdown corners, when you've got a guy that can lock somebody up where you can roll the safeties the other direction and attend to other people, what a defensive luxury.
3rd and 4. That's incomplete. And Hasselbeck's receiver wasn't even looking at that time.
Polamalu was. Troy made a break on the football. There he is, 43. He's right in there, and if that ball wouldn't have been so high, that was an interception waiting to happen, and thankfully the ball was just too high for Troy to control.
Tennessee 3 out of 3 on 4th down this year. 4th and 4 here.
Steelers showing only 3. Now they're cheating a couple of guys up.
They're coming with more than 3. The pass to the far side of the field. Popped in the air, incomplete. Intended for Mariani, covered by Keenan Lewis.
And Keenan Lewis is a kid that Mike Tomlin thinks a lot of, playing great football. Good illustration there.
Just under 7.5 to play in the 4th quarter. The Pittsburgh Steelers with the football and a 31-10 lead.
Black 80. Black 80.
And Roethlisberger for Dwyer.
Who would ever suspected a running play?
Driving the ball carrier.
Well, Ben Roethlisberger has had an awfully good day. 4 touchdown passes. There's Heath Miller to get this thing rolling. Then has great play action. He finds Hines Ward on the first of his 2 touchdowns. He spreads one to David Johnson. There's Ward's second one with a really athletic move. And Ben, had 1 interception, but that came right at the end of the first half on what was obviously a really screwed up play.
Dwyer again. Roethlisberger completing 72% of his passes today behind some terrific protection.
Well, and this offensive line has played really well. Now, big question, Marcus Gilbert, their talented right tackle, the rookie, the second rounder, he was forced out of this game with a recurrence of a shoulder injury. So a big story is going to be how well he's able to recover and if he's going to be able to come back next week. Here's Gilbert standing on the sideline. He came out of this game in the first half. But to me, the story of the day is Max Starks. On 3 days practice. Now, granted, he's a longtime Steeler, but remember he ended up on IR last year with a bad neck. Looked like his career was over. He ballooned up in the offseason with no workouts. And that he has come in on just 1 week's worth of practice and played the whole game. That wasn't a plan to have him play the whole game. That's old Max was fooling people with how much he's been working out the last couple of months. That might ruin his reputation.
Third and 8. Roethlisberger going to go deep, incomplete. And number 33, Michael Griffin, rolling over and holding.
He landed on, I don't know, he put his hopes out 4 to 6 weeks with a fractured forearm that he had surgery on. Griffin's going to extend for that ball. And you can see that it looked like his left arm bore the brunt of his landing. I can't tell if it's the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder. It's all I know is his entire weight and momentum was all focused on that left arm when he landed. Good news is the way they're moving his hand around, you wouldn't think it'd be a broken wrist or something.
But you can tell it is tender the way he's holding it as he walks off the field.
And like you just mentioned, with Hope gone, this is unwelcome to say the least.
Mark Mariani deep for the Daniel Sepulveda punt. And we get whistles. That one won't count.
Ball start, number 50, offense, 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
I believe Daniel Sepulveda just kicked that one about 70 yards. You know, maybe the best line that we heard all day yesterday came from Ben Roethlisberger. Dan, was right at the end of our conversation with him, he said, I just don't think our situation is as dire as the fans or the outside world makes it out to be. There's no panic and there's no worry around here.
Well, that's the attitude of a consistent winner. That's not the attitude you hear from teams that are trying to claw your way up.
Sepulveda blocked this time. Popped up in the air, picked off by Finnegan. Finnegan to the 5, to the end zone for the touchdown, and we have a penalty marker down.
That was blocked by Tim Shaw. Recovered by Cortland Finnegan. There's a flag on the play.
Looked like Tim Shaw got the block.
During the return of the block kick, illegal block in the back, number 23, defense. Be a 10-yard penalty, 1st down, timeout.
Well, keep in mind, another special teams mistake by Pittsburgh. Remember last week in Houston, they had a blocked field goal that was for a touchdown and got called back because of a penalty against the Texans. So a blocked field goal last week, a blocked punt this week. That is not going to make anyone on the Steelers coaching staff very happy. Right up the middle. Right up the middle. Looked like Tim Shaw, number 59. You cannot. You block from the inside out. You can't allow that to come right up into the face of your punter. And Finnegan has a touchdown taken off the boards by a block in the back.
Jamie Harper, the rookie out of Clemson, guilty of that. Here's a short pass. Javon Ringer shakes one tackle and inside the 30 to about the 29 or the 28-yard line. Troy Polamalu with the tackle. Coming up on 6 minutes to play in the fourth.
Well, that will drive a coaching staff crazy. And Al Everest will be burning the midnight oil this week. 2 block kicks in 2 weeks.
That one's incomplete. Jared Cook, the intended receiver.
Boy, and you can see Matt Hasselbeck. Look at him trying to get a little urgency going with his guys. You know, down 3 touchdowns and 6 minutes to go. He's a veteran. I mean, that's leadership.
Now, there's a guy who really, coming to a new team, really missed the off-season workout that he could have benefited by.
Absolutely. And again, Mike Munchak's team is, they're a little behind the curve because it's all new.
Hasselbeck all alone in the end zone, and he missed it.
You can't be any more open than that. Take a look at this. Nate Washington is completely, and I mean completely, let loose by the Steelers secondary. And, oh, geez, Matt Hasselbeck will be seeing that for a long time to come.
The official was the closest man to Nate Washington. 4th and 1.
You don't make a mistake like that in the secondary and get away with it very often.
Hasselbeck gonna run for it.
Look out.
Hit from behind, but not before he gets the first down at about the 25-yard line.
But look at Hasselbeck pump up. Look at him hop up, try to pump his guys up rather. I mean, this is the never say die attitude you want your quarterback and everybody on your team to have.
Short pass over the middle, that's complete. You know, Dan, the fact is that people thought that these Tennessee Titans, with the coaching change, were starting all over. But Jeff Fisher left behind a very good football team.
Oh, no, he left behind some talent, although they were 6-10 a year ago, but that was a real second-half collapse. Oh, no, there's some talented players here, but they are a new system.
Pass complete to Lavelle Hawkins on this side of the field to about the 16.
You know, Mike Heimerdinger was their offensive coordinator, and of course Mike passed away just recently. So you got a new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator. It takes time.
3rd and 1. Hasselbeck lost the football. It's still loose.
Tennessee recovered it. I think Javon Ringer, did he end up with the football? I don't know how. So many different people had a chance at it. Hayward, you see, Hayward gets in there.
I thought Chris Carter had it right here.
Well, he's trying to get it out from...
And then he didn't.
And poor Matt Hasselbeck, he trying to get it out from between his legs there and can't do it. And it hops right to Ringer.
Play clock down to 4. And we get a whistle blown before the snap. And Tennessee uses its second timeout.
This is the second charge time.
3:57 to play. Just a smidge under 4 minutes to play remaining here in the fourth quarter. There's James Harrison, who will be out of action for a while after surgery to repair a broken bone right around his eye. Suffered last week in Houston. 4th and 9. Hasselbeck down the middle of the field, incomplete, broken up by Polamalu, and a late flag.
They're going to get Troy, I think, for hanging on the receiver before the ball gets there.
Pass interference, number 43, defense. First down.
Jared Cook, he's a tight end, but he's got wide receiver speed, and you can see Troy wraps up his right arm. That in and of itself, right there, he's hooked his arm. And yes, he comes across and gets the football, but prior to that, there's no doubt he hooked it.
Hasselbeck, incomplete. Dan, on our way into the stadium today, how many Troy Polamalu jerseys did we see?
Well, first of all, I'm trying to think if there is a stadium in the National Football League where the fan base wears as many jerseys as the Steeler fans wear. And you're right. But Troy's jerseys are everywhere. And, you know, classic case right there. Right next to Jack Lambert.
Second and goal. Hasselbeck looks right, goes back left, and got rid of it.
Well, that's intentional grounding.
That'll be an intentional grounding.
That's intentional grounding.
Cameron Hayward, the rookie out of Ohio State.
Son of Ironhead.
Intentional grounding, number 8, offense. 10-yard penalty, loss of down.
Loss of down to go with it.
Third down.
Well, first of all, Matt is not outside the tackle box. He's still technically in the pocket. So getting it back to the line of scrimmage isn't good enough. There's got to be an intended receiver close enough nearby. He didn't get out of the tackle box, and he's not afforded that protection of just being able to dunk the football.
Third and goal from the 20. Far side. Got a man in the end zone, caught for the touchdown. Damian Williams.
Hasselbeck's pass is complete. Damian Williams.
Well, Damian Williams, one of the guys that being challenged to step up to take the place of Kenny Britt, try to fill that void. And Matt Hasselbeck won't let him quit. And you can see right there, peeking into the backfield, Keenan Lewis, and he was expecting safety help from Mundy. Mundy's late getting over there. So a peek from the cornerback who had underneath and a late arriving safety equals a Tennessee touchdown.
Mundy did not come early on Sunday.
No.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Oh, thank you. No, he did not. And nobody says thank you more than Damian Williams, who gets a touchdown out of it. But, you know, when you've got, you're playing cover 2 like that, and you've got a corner underneath and a safety over the top, the safety has got to get over there in a position to make a play on that ball.
Damian Williams, his second receiving touchdown of the season. Baronis for the extra point.
I think Mike Tomlin will have a little teaching point with those two young men, Mr. Lewis and Mr. Mundy, about he and Dick LeBeau will sit them down and go, gentlemen, this is not the way we execute that cover.
3:32 to play here in the fourth quarter. It's now 31-17, and a reminder, Verizon, well, coming up time permitting after the game. The NFL Today update presented by Verizon. JB, Dan, Shannon, Boomer, and Coach Cowher will have all the latest NFL scores and outlets.
And let's be realistic, Greg. That touchdown now makes this a 2-score football game. 3 minutes and 32 seconds. This is the National Football League. There is more than enough time for Tennessee to do the improbable. They've already done one onside kick. I think we can pretty much anticipate another one right now. But 2 scores in 3.5 minutes in the NFL happen all the time.
Baronis did this earlier with the onside kick, and it was successful.
Baronis is 4 for 8 of onside kicks in his career. Batting 50%. That's pretty darn good. Now the last one was a pooch, where he hit it way up into the air. You know, a kicker has a repertoire of onside kicks. The one where you drive it down into the ground and then it takes a big hop in the air. My favorite is the dribbler right down the middle where the kicker tries to recover it himself. And then the old-fashioned one where you try to drill a guy. You actually pick a guy about 10 yards, you know, one of the guys.
Bounce it off of him.
You try to hit him right in the chest with it. Now that's a little harder to execute.
How happy do you think those kickers are to hear, well, how about the dribbler where you just dump it out there and then see if you can get it in the middle of that pandemonium?
Well, I can tell you right now that the Steelers have people in the middle. I'm not sure he's going to try that.
Good change of direction.
Oh, you little rascal.
Picked off by Emmanuel Sanders.
Yeah, don't wait for the ball to hit the ground. Smart play by Sanders. He attacked the football. He attacked the football and caught it in the air.
3:31 on the game clock, please. 3:31.
He who hesitates in this situation is going to lose the deal. Don't wait for it to go 10 yards. If you can make a play on the ball, go make it. That's exactly what Emmanuel Sanders does here.
And in this situation, you get the guys with the good hands up front.
If you notice, there was a scarcity of linemen.
So from the 44, this is Dwyer. For no gain, and a timeout is called.
that's their
And
last-
Tennessee uses its third timeout of the half. So the Steelers now can begin to think about next week when the Jacksonville Jaguars arrive.
Well, this was the first of 4 home games in 5 weeks for the Steelers. As you can see, next week it's Jacksonville. They got a losing record. Then it's on to Arizona. They've got a losing record. And then it's Murderers Row with New England and Baltimore back to back. 2 really good football teams. But then, this Pittsburgh team, once they take their bye on November the 20th, they close with games against Kansas City, Cincinnati, the Rams, Cleveland twice, and the 49ers are in this mix.
Kind of the opposite of Murderers Row.
The very opposite of Murderers Row. There's no such thing as coasting home in the National Football League, but the remaining 6 games for the Steelers are hardly enough to scare you.
By the way, it's been said elsewhere on our CBS network this weekend, and we'd be a little remiss if we didn't add how very saddened we all are at the loss of our friend and colleague Joe Accetti. In just very short words, we loved him.
You're right about that. The Weltmeister, one of a kind. There was an era we don't see anymore.
Roethlisberger deep for the touchdown to Mike Wallace.
Well, we talked about it earlier about Mike Wallace and Bruce Arians can't stand to walk out of the stadium without dialing up some of those home runs, and he got one there, and that is Ben Roethlisberger's 5th touchdown pass of the day. 5 touchdown passes for a guy with a bad wheel.
Only Terry Bradshaw and Mark Malone have ever thrown 5 touchdown passes for the Steelers in a game. And Ben Roethlisberger.
And Ben.
Swisha is good. We talked about this speed way back at the beginning of the day, and Mike Wallace just zoomed.
And again, McCourty has no chance, and Michael Griffin, the safety, takes a poor angle. He's completely fooled by it. And perfect pass from Ben, right onto the hands of Mike Wallace. And again, a lot of stuff today to Wallace has been underneath. He's been running short slants and hitches. And there, when he finally gets to stretch it out a little bit, Tennessee's caught flat-footed.
Dan, there's certainly enough of this to go around on this Steelers team today, but I can only imagine the great respect teammates have for other teammates who are playing, not just playing hurt, but playing well.
Yeah, well, you stand in line to follow them, Greg. That's what leadership is. Leadership isn't being a great speaker. Leadership isn't just being the first guy who comes to the locker room every day. Leadership is doing the kind of things that Ben did today. And it's where guys they fall in line to follow you where you want to lead them. If you saw Ben Roethlisberger walking around the last couple of days, if you saw him walk into the stadium today, try to walk down steps on his way to the field, you've got to have some level of admiration for him.
Mariani will not run this one out, and they'll go to the 20-yard line. And yet this goes beyond Ben Roethlisberger. It goes to an injured offensive line. It goes to a run defense, the front line that had 2 of its 3 starters missing. Chris Johnson, 51 yards rushing today.
No, well, you know, last year when Johnson and the Titans played the Steelers, they took it to him. Remember, it was 16 carries for 34 yards, a lofty 2.1 yard per carry average. And keep in mind, today he had 21 yards on the first carry. Since then, it's been zipped.
Matt Hasselbeck over the middle to Ringer. Ringer wrestled down at about the 19-yard line.
I think Dick LeBeau's defense gets a ton of credit here today. They had almost as many starters out as they had in, and they played inspired football. They played with a chip on their shoulder. They played with an attitude and an edge.
And maybe there was no one else who really believed in them but themselves.
Well, and it's
False
one.
start, number 71, offense. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Now, if Maurice Jones-Drew runs for 160 yards next week, it's all for naught. But this is certainly a pretty nice foundation, a nice little building block to lay down to try to get back to the way they defended the run a year ago, which was brilliantly. 62 yards a game they gave up an average last week.
Hasselbeck over the middle, and that's complete out to the 30, close to the 30-yard line. Jared Cook makes the catch about. Well, let's see if that's enough for a first down or not. It looks like it will be. 2 minutes to play on a day when Ben Roethlisberger answered all the questions about just how tough he is. 5 touchdown passes. Has Pittsburgh in the driver's seat. It has been a tough day offensively for the Tennessee Titans.
Not the return to
And
Pennsylvania that Munchak was looking for.
No.
I don't think there's any doubt that Mike Munchak is he's the master of his universe. He's got a plan. He knows what he wants to do with his team, and the players, to a man, they're happy he's the guy that got the job.
Hasselbeck launches one that has no chance of being completed. That'll stop the clock with 1:34 to play. Ike Taylor closest to that ball when it came down.
And that's about the closest that Ike's gotten in the action all day today. The ultimate sign of respect.
He may not have to shower.
I suspect that he will. But he doesn't have to clean any grass stains off his pants, that's for sure.
Remember, it is a double-header day here on CBS. Chargers, Denver, Jets, Patriots still to come.
Well, seriously, how many storylines can one football game have? The Jets and the Patriots. You know, the Jets have been humbled a couple times this season. They were the ones that humbled the Patriots in the playoffs last year. You think Tom Brady's a little tired of hearing about it?
There's only enough, so much humility to go around. Jared Cook across midfield into Pittsburgh territory, first down.
Belichick put the gag order on the team this week. They're not to do any of the talking. That's all coming out of New Jersey and the Jets camp. So it's a must-see TV.
Tennessee, by the way, has a week to think about this. They'll have a bye week coming up. Then we'll go home to face Houston. 35 seconds and counting.
And there's plenty to coach him up about here in Pittsburgh, but overall, Mike Tomlin has got to be happy with the way his guys circled the wagons and rallied around one another.
This is Ringer, buried at the 40-yard line, and that may well be the final play of the day. Pretty impressive performance by the Pittsburgh Steelers today. Our final score, 38-17. For Dan Dierdorf and the rest of our crew, Greg Gumbel, so long from Pittsburgh. Coming up next, the NFL Today update presented by Verizon. To New York for all the scores and highlights after this.